Hello there, Apple Bites. This is your Apple Bite Rafael Tavares talking to you from our show here, The Written Writ, a show where you and I and you take a journey together to become better writers. Yes, we are back. We are late, right, and we are ready to go. And of course, I am nothing without my shadow.
What is up tonight, sir?
Oh my God, I've been having a ball over here trying to get things done between the Apple Bites and the Written Writ. It's been a lot of fun. Now, where'd the accent come from?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. Well, busy men have time for everything, I'm told.
I think I'm still on TikTok mode because for some reason, when I was doing TikToks earlier,
You turned into a cowboy?
One of them. No, I did a lot of them. I mean, I only released a couple, but I did like a bunch of them, and I was like, I don't know where that came from.
You're just a vessel, you know, you're letting the muse flow through you.
That's pretty much what happened. I was like, okay, and then the voices started, and then the hey, we could do this, and then we can do that, and then a whole series of so you want to be a writer happened.
Hey, you know, it's it'll save a lot of time when we have to explain this to somebody later. Like, well, the voices started around episode 10.
Oh no, the voices started long ago, and they say many things. Oh wait, what? That's it out loud.
Over there is where I saw the leprechaun.
Oh, you saw him too?
Me to burn things.
So, dude, we got the guys from Space Bastards. They're gonna be here in
Joe and
2
Eric.
weeks.
Oh my goodness.
So we're gonna have them both on, and we're gonna talk to them and see all the yummy goody details about Space Bastards.
I'm super excited. I'm just a little bit of a fan of theirs, so
just a little bit. All right, so let's get things rolling. Let's bring on Kristina Garlick.
Woo! Hello.
Kristina,
good morning.
Have you
good
on?
Morning.
I figured we'd throw you right into the geekness and have you be geeking out with us because I know you do the conventions as well.
Yeah.
And how has it been for you since we haven't been doing these conventions?
Oh man, it kind of feels like a part of myself's missing, as weird as that sounds. Like it feels like I'm just slacking off and doing nothing. Like I have to get back to them, but it's just like, do I go this year? I mean, I don't have the problem like lugging my stuff there, setting it up, but I just don't know if the people are ready to go back to them yet.
You worried about a low attendance, or you worried about safety factors?
Low attendance. You know, they are expensive to do, and they only give, you know, unfortunately give free tables to some people, but you know, you kind of understand why. It's a business. But you know, you have to get a hotel, you got to drive there, you got to take off, you know, rearrange your schedule, and
the con crawl is no, it's no light thing to take, you know.
Yeah. And I usually do, for big ones, I usually would do 1 to 2 big one a year, and then mostly a bunch of small ones.
Yeah. So what does the first one look for you?
Well, the first event I've done, you know, post-COVID is one small local town event. That's the only thing I've done in person since, you know, everything. And it was great. I got a lot of people. It was an outdoor event. It was downpouring rain on and off throughout the day, but people were just like kind of hungry to go back to it.
That's what we're seeing. We're seeing that a lot of the conventions that are starting up are seeing good numbers. People are wanting to get into these conventions. You know, it's still a little funny because you know you don't know whether to jump right in to see what's going to happen. It keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. I think I might like try to find something for like the Allentown, Pennsylvania area, because they have a good population there, and it's sort of close to where I live. I'll do like a day event or something. Somebody was telling me that there's like a steampunk event out there.
Ooh.
So I might have to do that. Yeah. I kind of have fun with the steampunk stuff. That's not really my thing, but I just love the elaborate costumes.
They're amazing. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, I've always loved that whole steampunk setting.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Have you ever done that kind of costumes or?
No, I don't really do too much cosplay. I've made a few things for people, but mostly like props. Like I can do weapons and gauntlets and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of
You would
everyone
be
who
able to do
goes,
some steampunk stuff.
man, I'll try anything. Doesn't bug me.
Yeah.
Wild Wild West.
I think it's a little different though when you're like presenting at the event, because I'm afraid that if like I wear the costumes that people will associate that character with my books rather than me. So I usually kind of always go as myself. Kind of boring, I guess. I feel like it's the best thing to do.
It makes sense though, because the only way that would work for you is if you actually go as one of your own characters, because now you're actually selling your own book.
Oh, I could do that.
Or if you're incognito as a
That might-
steampunk character.
That might be a way to go.
Yeah, because I know you have some great characters, so I'm surprised you actually haven't cosplayed your own characters.
You know, I actually never, as stupid as this sounds, that never actually crossed my mind.
Because you got some good characters there, that you can actually get some probably good cosplay in there with.
Yeah,
now her brain's going.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm kind of like off my own little world, trying to think of how to dress up, and like, and you're talking, and I'm like, what?
That's always good. That means we're getting the brain to work. We're getting motivated. We're getting the juices flowing, and that's what we like to do here in the Writ and Writ. We like to get creative.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Like I've been known to write on napkins whenever an idea comes across my, like, oh, this is great.
Oh, believe me, I completely understand, because we know as writers, the one thing that's always a constant is if you don't write it down right now, you're in trouble.
I don't know about you, but I always seem to get the best ideas most of the time in times when it's hard to write, though. Like I'm driving a car.
Yep.
Or like, I'm at an event, or, taking a shower, and then you forget, like, did I wash my hair or not? It's just, you have to kind of learn to, I guess, to adapt to these weird situations.
Well, that's a definite, the worst one is when you wake up from a deep sleep and you're like, I got to write. All right. So we got John Ottinger saying, gents, we love you, John Ottinger. You and your dwarves are fantastic. Talking about steampunk.
Yeah.
And of course, our pal here, Nathan. Hello, Nate. How you doing?
Hello.
Good to see you.
Miss you, brother.
I'm surprised you're awake. So, Kristina, tell us this. All right, so what's your writer's process here? I know it has to have changed over the years. How did that whole process of writing a book come out to you?
Well, it definitely has changed over the years. I wrote my first book when I was 10 years old. It was in notebooks, but it was a complete story. And I spent the next summer when I was 11 typing the whole thing up. And to be honest, no one will ever see that book. It was very badly written. But it was, that one there was a bunch of short stories, and this main character just goes on a bunch of different adventures. And I kind of,
Interesting.
Yeah, and but my second book, I kind of had an idea of what was going on. And this process hasn't changed since, forever. Basically, I came up with the start of a book, and I came up with the end of the book. And the rest of it, hello. And the rest of the journey, you just kind of have to, I guess, fiddle around and figure it out along the way. But if you don't have that ending at the start of it, you're going to have a lot of problems. That's where I think a lot of people end up having to go back and do a lot of rewriting when they don't have that ending in mind. Like, oh, shoot, I have this great ending. Now I have to go change X, Y, and Z. But if you know where you're going, when you're writing along the way, you can say, stop yourself. Oh, I don't think it's going to get me to that ending. And you can kind of redirect where you're going. So I feel like that's the most crucial part to writing a book. I know a lot of other people will probably say, no, it's not. But for me, that's what works best.
I feel you, because with me, my writing is usually all over the place. I can start in the middle of the book. I can start in the beginning of the book. I can start at the end of the book. I can start at any part of the book, but it all depends to me. It's what's the first scene that calls out to me. When I'm writing, that's the first thing I'll write is whatever the first scene is that I'm thinking about in my head. Then I'll figure out where in the story that is. But I will agree with you on this. When I do find that I have that last scene first,
Mhm.
It makes life a little easier in getting everything to go in that direction. When I don't have the ending in mind, I don't know if it's the same with you. The characters start to go, all right, so how about this? How about this? How about we can go over here? How about if we take a ride over there? What does it have to do with the story?
There was one situation, Last Thing Forgotten, which was one of my newer books. I had an ending in mind, and then when I got close to the end, I'm like, well, actually, I kind of want another ending, and I couldn't decide what to do. So I actually wrote 2 endings for the book and did ending 1, ending 2, and people can choose what ending that they want to read in the book. And you can read both of them or one of them, and one's sort of happier than others, but, I think it's kind of like choose your own adventure for adults.
I always loved choose your own adventures. I've actually on TikTok, I've actually started doing this weird little choose your own adventure thing where I narrate something and then I let the audience decide where the story is going. And I'm like, okay, let's see where you guys go with this.
I do like that. I have to check that out. I'm actually not on TikTok. I'm one of those very old school people where this is probably the most technology you'll ever see me dealing with.
It's a funny thing. I am not a big TikTok person. I know I was talking about before that I made a lot of TikToks today, but that's why I said it, because it's really, really rare for me to like, you know what, I'm going to do a bunch of episodes today or a bunch of little TikToks today. And when I started doing them and I was going and going, I was like, I don't know what's wrong. I'm just going to go with this.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting platform to actually get our stuff out there.
I know my friend's 16-year-old daughter just keeps telling me to get on there, like read sections of my book.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, oh, I'm old, So it's hard for me, I guess, to kind of adapt to the new technology. I mean, I didn't get a cell phone until I was 18 years old. So most people nowadays have it when they're like 6. Or something like that.
I take my daughter to school and they're all like, I'm like, what the hell?
It's like, go play in a sandbox.
Exactly. Everybody got their own phone. I'm like, why do you have a phone? You're 6 years old.
Yeah. My kids make calls and stuff on the phone. They know how it works.
Remember the time when you actually had to memorize a number? Like, and if you were out someplace, you had to go to a pay phone and, type it in. Like, okay, I need grandma to come and get me.
It's so funny because right now, like, if it wasn't for my phone, I couldn't call people. Even people that I like or that I are really close to me. I'd be like, why didn't you call? I didn't have my phone.
Ain't got your number.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I lose my phone about 8 times a day too. So.
Oh, believe me, I do that all the time. I'll put it down, and then I have to go be like, dude, call my phone.
That's what I did earlier today. I thought I left it at Walmart, to be honest, and
I've done that one.
I was freaking out, but it ended up being under the bananas that I had bought. I was like, oh well, all right.
Hey, if you haven't left it in the fridge, you're good, because I've left it in the fridge.
It's better than the freezer.
Oh no! I keep going. I keep hoping that doesn't happen. I'm like, last place I want to leave it is in the freezer. Damn it.
We're outside when it rains. I
completely understand where you're coming from with the technology. Like I said, I don't usually do TikToks. And even though I know what to do with it, like, the suggestion to me was read your stuff. I'm like, I got plenty of stuff to read. I can read plenty of stuff. And now that it's 3 minutes long, because they extended the time, before it was like, you could do 15, 30, or a minute. Now you can actually do 3 minutes. So, now you can actually get a good snippet of our stuff out there, because before you had to figure out how to read your stuff so that the people understood what you were saying, and at the same time, that you don't lose the art of our writing.
See, I definitely agree with you. The other challenge for me, at least, is because I'm kind of technically a playwright with the way that I write. I call it diary play format, where it goes between a diary and a lot of dialogue, and it'd be hard to do the dialogue by myself. I would actually have to get like a volunteer to kind of go off of me. I just can't throw my voice and do like the whole one-man show thing. My neighbors would probably think I was nuts anyway. but maybe I could do the diary part. But I feel like the dialogue for me is the best part of my stories, not so much the diary aspect. I mean, it's good and get more of like an inside feel of the characters,
Right.
but I feel like my strength is the dialogue.
I can understand and completely feel what you're saying. Like, I know that, there's times where, like I said, when I'm working on a scene, it's mostly the dialogue that's happening, usually in the scene. It's very rare that it's a scene about a static scene or an action scene or something. It's usually so-and-so is talking to so-and-so and there's something happening, and that's moving the story along, and you're like, ooh, what's going to happen next? And as a person who's been a dungeon master, and doing the voices, it gets interesting, especially, I'll get that, are you talking to yourself in there? I'm like, no, I'm not. You shut up. Nobody's talking to you. Oh, no, well, you're going to do that thing again. So.
You should do a Dungeon Master episode where you're like doing Dungeons and Dragons and just playing it and live streaming it. I think that'd be kind of a cool thing to do.
Oh, yeah, I know. Shadow over here has been trying to get me to do just the same thing.
We've got a new campaign starting, and we'd love a guest DM.
I'm actually working on because I stopped playing for a while, but I've been tooling a story that I've been wanting to do as a dungeon master, and wanting to see how the people would play it out, because it's actually here's the secret. I'll tell you two, not any of the people that are watching right now. It's actually a story that I wrote, and I want to see what the players do with it. If they go in the direction that I had the characters go in, or if they go in a whole completely different direction. So I want to see what happens if I take something I already written. I know the ending. I know what's supposed to happen, and give it to somebody and see how they play it.
You're a daring man.
Yeah.
Could do a TikTok Dungeon Master challenge.
That's true. I see Nathan over here is like going off on let's see, insert future is now a meme. You need to use memes as writing. I've done that. True. That's what I've been telling him, which is about, because Nat's been wanting to play the Dungeons and Dragons game. And Lewis, we need to drag him to.
I'm right with you, bro.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
All the animals at the zoo, and we'll get them out there.
Exactly. I've always loved the whole concept of just telling a story. I love telling stories. As much as I loved writing them, what started me off was being a kid and telling those stories or those dreams that I was having, and going and telling the kids, "Come around, kids. Let me tell you what I dreamt about last night." And it's always fun. Like the more I got into the Dungeons and Dragons and Vampire the Masquerade and all these games, it was interesting to like step into this, and at first play this character that I had created for the game, and fleshed out and used it to put into the story of the storyteller or dungeon master, and then become the dungeon master and craft this world where these people are coming into, and they're creating their characters and gaining their backstories. And then you sit there and go, all right, so this is what you created. Oh, you don't know about this and this and this. And this is what you created. Oh, wait till you see your long lost brother. You didn't know you had a brother? And it's fantastic. It's almost like doing the Writ challenge on a grander scale. I guess that's why I love the challenge so much, is because when I was becoming a storyteller or a dungeon master, it's pretty much what you're doing. You're taking whatever they're giving you and then working it into your story.
That makes sense. Well, if you ever do an event in New Jersey, I'll take part. I might not be good at it, but I'll take part.
Hey, who knows? Well, I'm always in Jersey. You know that. Whether it's Garden State Comic Fest or any of the other ones that I hit up, we're always in Jersey. I feel like I spend a lot of time in Jersey.
Just move here. It's calling you.
You're not the first one to tell me that. I got a couple of friends going, dude, man, you spend so much time here, and besides sleeping in my house, couldn't you just like... Oh my God. Oh, and Nat's like, look, player 3 found. I feel like what we'll do one of these times when we're doing one of these events, we'll just like sit there at a table and be like, gather around, children, gather around.
Here's the tale.
It's an impromptu D&D game.
Send me a list list of your events after we get done. I'll see if I can make any of them. I want to make this happen.
Sounds good. Now I got something to work at.
See?
I need an excuse to go back to an event. That might be my excuse. I'm itching to go, as you know.
But I think you're perfect for like all this role playing stuff, because your fantasy worlds are in these veins of Dungeons and Dragons and Vampire the Masquerade, and you play with these worlds, and it does have that feel of you're in a game, or you're in as part of the story. It like really envelops you in, and I like that about your style.
Thank you. Actually, Dungeons and Dragons is sort of where, contributed to how I built my world, because when I was younger, I used to stay at my uncle's house, and he'd have all these Dungeons and Dragons books. I didn't know anything about them, but I would go through them and see pictures of like different dragons, different creatures, and I'd write down the list of all the creatures I thought were cool, and I would write them in my books. So I didn't play the game, but, I was like, oh, I love this idea. And that's how, a lot of the characters kind of developed in my books.
That's awesome.
Believe me, we are in the same place here. I always give credit to Dungeons and Dragons, because I don't think I'd be the writer I am today without that aspect of my life.
Yeah.
Because it taught me world creation. It taught me character creation. Because it's important to create your character and to know what your character is and make sure you got the right skills. And, because if you go the wrong way when you're creating your character, it can be really bad for you.
Do artists do the same thing? Like when they draw their pictures?
It probably depends how you work. I just kind of black out and see what happens.
Hey.
Kind of.
It's like ghost drawing.
Kind of, it's just kind of a cathartic release of a lot of pent up ideas and stuff, and sometimes they take form, But yeah, I think if you're doing it the right way, you probably like plan it out ahead of time. I think you measure never, and you keep hitting it until it fits, and that's my particular approach to things, and I in no ways encourage other people to follow in those footsteps, but
hey, it'll eventually fit.
Exactly,
It's square, that's round. It's gonna fit.
You don't want me to put anything together, especially like an IKEA product. I will build it backwards, upside down. There'll be like 50 extra parts. Just don't sit on it.
Yeah, those run solely on faith. It's like, I believe this Fjörkirk is going to come together.
No, I literally did build an entire chair backwards, and it took me like 3 hours to do it, and I wanted to cry afterwards because it was built backwards. And I've never bought anything from IKEA since then. I
feel you, because usually they go, Ralph, you're the guy, you put this together, and I'm like, no, you don't want me to put that together. Things will be in the wrong place. It will look almost right, but it'll be in the wrong place.
I'm the supervisor.
Is exactly as it's meant to be.
It's like, hey, I can help you put it together, and then we'll probably get it right, because you'll probably catch what I'm doing wrong. But I don't know about me leading the team.
Exactly, I can help. If somebody needs me to get them a drink from the refrigerator or a wrench or something.
So your style of writing isn't exactly like what writers want to teach everybody to write. Yours is a little more hands
freestyle.
There you go, freestyle.
Yeah. So with my writing style, people either love it or hate it. I'm gonna be honest. Obviously I love it. But I write true to myself, and I've had, major publishers say, if you change your writing style, we'll publish your book. Yeah. And, it's very tempting, because who doesn't want to be like, this big name, but it's not, I feel kind of dirty about that idea. And it's sort of, in my opinion, selling out. So I write in the way that works for me. It's basically the type of books I provide are like, a Sunday afternoon read. It's not going to blow your brain. It's not difficult. It's fun. It's escapism. It's just like picking up a comic book, but without the pictures. It's just very easy to read.
You have a good eye for art though, because your books have beautiful covers, and I know sometimes you have like bits and pieces inside the book itself too, right?
I was going to, but for printing reasons, I pulled the pictures out of the one book. But yeah, I think I do have pretty good covers. The reason is in 2012, when I mean, I've been writing for years, but that's kind of like when my first sort of big book came out. It was just a bland cover, and some lady bought the book and she wrote, "Dear Kristina, your cover sucks," from Anne, nothing else. I've probably told this story 100 times, but she got in my head with just that short little words,
That alone will get to you, man.
So after that, I kind of learned how to make covers. And then if I don't think I can make a cover that fits it, I'll usually go to a really good artist like Haley Brown, or I can never pronounce this guy's name, but he's phenomenal. It's Juriel, Juriel. He's in... he's outside of this country, but he's amazing. And, certain stories you can't find either photo stock or whatever to manipulate. You have to get a professional artist to draw.
Yeah, completely agree with you. We know we have a lot of artist friends, and they do phenomenal work, especially some of the photographic guys that we deal with. They put some mean stuff together. It's beautiful to see what they put together. And the same thing with some of your books. I know there was one with fire all over the place. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's Juriel's work. Last Thing Forgotten. And I have to say that's probably one of my favorite covers. And then the other one is From Ashes to Books.
I remember.
With the dragon and the woman on the cover. It's just very beautiful. I wish I could draw like that. It's incredible what some people can do.
Believe me, my comic book would probably have been written ages ago. I mean, not written, but finished ages ago. If if I would be able to draw as well as write, I can actually do a nice stick figure comic, but I don't think anybody's gonna buy that.
I mean, I know, like, we were talking about that off screen, but I would love to do a comic book someday with somebody. It's just, I don't know if it'll be great. Like, it's very, I think it's probably going to be difficult to translate an actual book into a comic. Not to say that it can't be done, but, you have to choose the best kind of dialogue and put it in there. But like I said, my strength, even though not speaking, but writing, I'm very good at.
I'd be excited to see what you came up with if you put
I
out
agree,
some...
because I already like your books, so I just would love to see which direction you'd go with a comic book.
I might have to try it after I finish writing the book that I'm working on now. So maybe, I'm going to think, like 6 to 9 months from now, I'll start it.
Well, what you can always do, I've done it many times. I've actually have books that are finished that I could probably work on more than what I'm working on now, but I would write the comic story and then it's there. And then, if I have to go back to it and edit it or whatever it needs to be done, I do it. Because how it is. We writers, our work is never really finished, but we have to decide when we're not going to go back to it.
That's why I don't like to read my own stuff. It's not that I don't like what I write, but then I end up revising it. I kind of think it's more of like a Lincoln approach, because Lincoln, when he was writing the Gettysburg Address, he was writing it up to a few minutes before he went on stage to speak. So I was like, all right, I'm just like him. I don't know if that's the best person to be compared to, but I
you could do worse. I mean,
that's actually a pretty good comparison. Lincoln was I think he doesn't get enough credit. He was pretty brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, he self-educated for the most part. I try to do that with myself now. I mean, I am in a doctorate program, but I also try to learn all these different things. For a while, I was making soap just because I wanted to learn how to make soap. Like, if I can learn how to do it, I'll do it.
That is awesome.
Thank you. And
that's how we should be. We should be constantly wanting to learn something else. Move forward. Keep getting keep kickstarting the brain. Yeah,
I mean, I take care of my grandmother who has Alzheimer's, and I just kind of see how it's gone to mush. I hate to say it, but I feel like, if this ends up happening to me years from now, I want to say I've done everything and anything and don't have regrets, like, I wanted to learn this, I wanted to do that. Well, time's now.
Let's get it done. I got my bucket list. I'm working on my bucket list. And I've always said the same thing. If I died tomorrow, somebody's going to have fun looking through the amount of writing that's in this house. Because it's a lot of writing and it's in a lot of different places and they'll be finding it for years.
My biggest fear is that, like, my house will catch fire and I'll lose all the stuff that I write. So I'm like a maniac. I back things up onto like 5 different locations. I'll give one to my brother, be like, here, take this flash drive. And I don't know if you end up doing that sort of thing, but.
Oh, I'm the same way. I'll run into like, good night, guy. I'll run into some notes and go, let me write these again. Then I'll put those notes somewhere else. And then I'll run into the notes twice in a row and I go, wait a minute, these are the same. When did I do this story? And then you look at this one and there's a revised version of this story and you're like, okay. And then you start going backwards as I start finding the little pockets and going, so this is how it started out.
It's funny, getting back to the writing process. So when I first started writing, a lot of what I did was writing notebook after notebook after notebook. I've written so much that I have like a permanent like indent on my one finger from writing so much. That's never gone away. And then later, I started recording myself, listening to the recordings as I wrote. Now I'm to the point where I don't actually have to write out the scenes. I have it all in my head. And the only thing I do is I do bullet points. All right, so I just remember, okay, right. 4 words, and I can write a whole section of the story. 4 more words, this whole section. And I don't know if that's common if you write for a while, but I just don't have to write the scenes down anymore.
I feel you, because the way I write is pretty similar. When I'm getting the idea together, it's pretty much bullet points. It's like, so this happens first, this happens second, this happens third. Then I'll come back to it and go, let's throw this in here, let's throw that in here, let's throw that in there. And I come back to it again, and it's like, all right, so this is what's happening over here, and this is what's happening over here. And as I progress, the story starts to unfold itself from all the little bits and pieces, almost like a big puzzle.
Exactly. And one other thing I do is if there's important things in the document that I'm writing, I highlight those few words. So if I have to scroll through it later, I'll see it. Oh, this person's birthday is on this date. Or I'll do a timeline at the bottom of the document. Like, okay, this is the year she was born. This is the year she graduated high school. This is the year, she got married, whatever, just so I can have a quick reference sheet. Because it's hard to keep track of the timelines.
Oh, that's a definite, yeah. And there's times where if you don't keep track of the timelines, you'll make some kind of strange mistake, and then your book doesn't make any sense, and you're like, what happened?
Well, that's why I don't like doing sequels. Well, I mean, they don't sell as well, in my opinion, but I feel like it's so much easier to make a mistake in a sequel. Because in the first book, the information's still kind of fresh in your mind. But by the time you go back to write that second book, you've kind of forgotten most of the first stuff. So it's like, oh, crap. So then you're, hitting Control F on your computer, searching. It's just easier to start a new story.
I feel you, because I find when I am continuing something, it's almost like researching yourself. And I don't know about you, but I'm not like the greatest in in note taking and other things, and I'm like, what the hell does that mean? What's purple?
Well, once I finish a book, I actually, if I did have any kind of notes, I recycle them. So I actually don't keep any notes that I have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can't get rid of them. Because here's the thing. One of the ways I write is that it's like fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the initial explosion, and then stuff happens, and all that stuff leads back to the main thing, And there's times where you have an offshoot or something that looks really stupid, and you're like, what's this? And you're like, well, that's so and so. Yeah, but he's not even in the book. And I'm like, yes, but he affects the book. I don't know if you do the same thing, but I'll have characters that probably didn't even get into the book, or storylines from characters that never got into the book, but it affects the book because the character is the way they are because of whatever backstory I have.
Okay, so I made this mistake, I know, at least once, just once. In my favorite book, of course, Arcadia the Wayward Hero. It's my favorite book that I wrote. It's a superhero story. I had this superhero who's kind of like, an Iron Man's Tony Stark type character. And at first, I guess I started calling him Mr. Rich. And then later I called him Mr. Cash. And I was like, oh. But I fixed it in later editions. So I guess you'd say it's a collector's item. But, yeah, you have to be with that sort of thing. So I guess, I've been a little bit more conscious. I do a lot of Control Fs though before I go into print, saying like, I'll type in everybody's names to see if any weird things come up.
I get you. I completely understand you. You did break up there a little bit, just to let you know.
Oh, sorry, I leaned back. It seems like when I lean back, I break up.
That's weird. Okay. Yeah, it was so funny because I was just fine. All of a sudden, I'm like,
no, sorry. I was cracking my back.
I get you every
Guess
time.
I can't do. Damn it. Yeah, it's my probably my things underneath.
That's my kryptonite. Oh.
I like doing that. I know it's so bad for your back.
Is it though?
I don't know. It feels good.
I'll have to ask the chiropractor the next time I go.
Oh man, when you get someone to really crack your back, right? It's like, oh, I can live again.
It scares me though. I always feel like they're gonna especially when they do your neck. I'm like,
oh, I've never had them do I've never been to a chiropractor, so I don't know. But
they
the guys in the warehouse, they just like each other's back, like when it was like going out. It's like, oh man, it's so much better.
And it is. But it's so funny because I understand why people say that you have to keep going to a chiropractor. Yeah, it's kind of true and it's not true at the same time. It's just that once you go and you feel that freedom, you're like, ooh.
And
just chasing the dragon after that.
It's funny though,
told me that the first 20 you have to go for 24 visits, and then after that you can go occasionally. But so it's a lot and then a little to apparently feel better for most people.
Right.
I don't know if it's true, but
yeah, you never know because you don't know if the doctor's pulling your leg or they're like, we're gonna get you to come back, or it's like those mechanics to fix your car.
Depends how many years left on their med school student loans they have.
So
he's kind of young, so
you talk to writers too, right? Do they have issues with your writing style?
No, well, no, actually, the biggest issue I get, surprisingly, is censorship issues, and it's not the writers; it's people like, oh, your character shouldn't curse. Oh, your character shouldn't be drinking. It's really trivial stuff. I've never had, maybe because I'm sort of like friends with the writers, they don't want to say I hate your stuff, but I hope that they don't. They've always come back to me saying that they like my stuff, so I'm going to take them for their word.
Well, I meant more in the fact that, I don't know if you run into them, that you have some writers who you have to follow the rules. You have to do, what are you doing? This is not how you do it. I've only run into a couple of them, but it's always the weirdest thing for me because they get so upset.
So it's not actually the writers; it's the reviewers. Like, the people that say that they always want to write a book, but they never actually do it. And then they just I know the people probably come at me, but it's those people that decide that, those that can't teach. Well, those that can't write become reviewers, and they often criticize little thing in your book. Oh, you missed a comma here, or you don't follow the standard format. Like you said, there was that's why I don't really go seek out reviewers anymore, because I know people like, oh, you should get reviews for your Amazon or Goodreads or whatever. I was like, those people, you know, they're kind of stuck in the old way of doing things. And
Right.
I know, even though I'm stuck with the technology thing, I feel like I'm kind of progressive in my writing in some respects. So I don't know. I think you have to be accepting of change, even if you don't want to be.
Sure, it's going to keep moving with or without you. I mean,
Exactly.
it's life.
You know, it just bugs me out because even with the written writ, sometimes I'll get somebody going, "Why did you tell that to them?" You know, I'm like, "What? It's the truth." You know, because they get hung up on some kind of technicality or something. You know, or I'll get some people that get upset with me when because I tell people anybody can write, when it's true, anybody can write, anybody can be a writer.
Yeah.
You know, the whole thing is to become a better writer, to become an author, to move forward and keep taking the craft to the next level. You know, that's the dedication. That's where it comes in, where you're going to become something bigger, something better, or at least that's the goal. And in the beginning, anybody can write, you know, and I feel like, you know, taking that away from the people is wrong. You know, you want them to be able to express themselves. You know, writing is amazing. I don't know. I know you probably feel it too. You finish writing a book, you're like, whew, that felt good. And it's also very therapeutic, because, you know, sometimes, you know, as writers, we'll take bits and pieces of life and put it into the books.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Last thing forgotten, the like you said, the cool cover that actually has stuff about COVID in there, and it was kind of my dealing with it. You know, the woman in the story, she lost her house, she lost her husband during this whole, you know, the COVID lockdown, the height of it. And there's sci-fi fantasy elements in there, but it was kind of my way of dealing with it. Because at first, you know, March, April, it was kind of like, what the heck's going on? But you can take things that are stressing you out and kind of put it to paper. And shame on anyone who says this is wrong. Like you said, there's no right way to write a book.
And that's pretty much what happened. You know, when I started the written writ, I finished reading all my books, all my how do you write books. And I sat there and I go, there's something missing. There's a step missing. There's a step the books don't tell you that you need to jump over before you become a writer. And you're like, and I'm like, what the heck is that step? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the written writ, and it's gonna become a journey of me and you and I becoming better writers as we take this journey together. Because there's this leap that you have to make from after you finish reading all the writing books to become the writer that you're gonna become. You know, and it's really hard to like put into words.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually I thought about when I was in college about getting, you know, like a master's degree and like writing and all that stuff, and I was like, no, I kind of take a different approach. I read those writing books. I don't go to the writing critique groups. I don't really care. I mean, I want people to like my. On the other hand, I don't want writers to critique my stuff.
Right.
Because I write firstly for myself, and then I hope other people like my stuff, especially young adults, which is what I write mainly for most of my books. I'll, you know, like if I see them at conventions, oftentimes I'll discount the books or give them one for free because I just want kids to read. Right. But my biggest issue is, like you said, people saying, oh, that's not the right way to do it. And what happens is you have these new writers, they join these groups like, oh, I want to write a book. And then you have this kind of seasoned, maybe like a more tired writer who will kind of rip it apart. And then the person never finishes their story. No, don't do that. You want them to encourage them. Like, okay, I like X, Y, and Z. I would just, you know, mention you might have a problem getting out of this situation, come up with a bunch of different scenarios and help them.
That's constructive though.
Yeah, like I usually won't kind of critique. Like for me, I'd rather them say, "Hey, I'm stuck. Can you help me?" And then like, well, what's the scenario? And then I'll give them options. I prefer to do that more than anything. Just, I don't know. Writing groups can be kind of mean.
You sound like a good person. I like you.
Thank you.
You know, like I hear you, man. It's that in a lot of communities. You get these people who are established. Maybe they had to work through a lot, and they got these positions, and they're so scared of someone coming in there with something different that they're going to take away something they've worked for, and that's crazy. Like, if you've got something special and you're trying to keep other people from having it, you don't deserve it, and you'll lose it anyway. Like,
you see that in comics, especially a lot of gatekeeping.
Oh, yeah.
Gatekeeping it's ridiculous. It's pathetic. It's makes the world a worse place.
Yeah, and I feel like when you do that, you run out of fresh new ideas. It's just recycled stuff over and over and over. Like the movie industry is suffering horribly from that now. Oh, let's reboot this movie for the third time. The first one was good. Why are you rebooting it again?
It's worse is when the first one was not good, and they're like, well, maybe the third time it'll work out.
See, but that makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
If you got a bad movie, maybe you could make it better.
Oh God.
I would be open to like, maybe like a 1940s or 1950s movie that was bad, trying to reboot it then. Like, there's some, maybe cool police, femme fatale movie that could be redone.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Like something very noir. But
have they redone Chinatown or Casablanca or something with a modern twist?
No.
I think they would ruin Casablanca.
They'll ruin it, but I'm just.
I would love to see what they would do, but at the same time, I'm like, no.
See, those
Michael
are good
Bay.
movies.
Those are good movies, and it's funny because when I started writing, I got involved with private investigators, detectives. It was all about that. I tell people all the time, Encyclopedia Brown, and I'm like, if you remember that, because most people go, who the hell is he talking about? And that led me to Sherlock Holmes at a really early age. And reading Sherlock Holmes when you're really young, I would suggest that it's an eye opener, because the way that Sherlock breaks down what he sees is just amazing. The amount of critical thinking that's put into that character, and how everything comes together and is put together, it established me really early on. And the first book I wrote, like you said, was around that same age, was around 9 or 10, and I wrote a detective story, with Maximus T. Jones, my famous detective. And I've gone back to it to read it a couple times. I probably would never publish it.
Oh, come on.
But Maxie, it stays in my head, and I mention him every once in a while, especially when we're doing the Writ, and I'm talking character creation. Especially because over the years, I've gone back to Maxie and I've changed him around to see if he can be a more workable character. And he wasn't bad in the beginning, but I did go with a lot of tropes that I was watching as a kid.
Sometimes they're okay to put in. I mean, if you like it, you can keep it,
Exactly. And I love the noir feel of books. That whole, I was walking across the street and I saw her. That whole narrative is just amazing, especially when it's done right.
I wish I could write like that. My stuff, I mean, I bust on the movie industry all the time, but when I write, I kind of like picture it like a movie in my head. And so I feel like what I write could, if it was on the screen, it'd be an amazing, like an emotional, heart-wrenching scene, That's why I get, a lot of times I'll get book trailers made of my books, and I drive those people nuts. They're like, I don't have stock or images for that. I'm like, make it happen.
That's amazing. I would like your trailers, and maybe I don't know if it would cost too much money or not, but maybe next time you need to like hire a couple of actors or get a couple of friends who are actors, because we all have those. Put them in a trailer and have them act it out.
I just don't actually have any actor friends, surprisingly. I have a lot of artists and writer friends, but no actor friends.
I got plenty of actor friends.
We'll go to one con. We'll find you plenty of aspiring actor friends.
All right, maybe I'll do that. I'll be like, here, do this scene from Heart of Wonderland.
Honestly, we'll just put out something on social media the night before, like, hey, come on in, give me a pitch. You'll have a line around your table.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea. Hey, do you want to be in my trailer?
Yeah.
That would probably go in my head a little bit.
Then you're sitting there like, sorry, you're not going to Paris.
I'll start holding my pinky up when I drink.
When it comes to your trailers, so I'm like, I wonder what if she would actually have them make the trailer. How would it come out?
She seems so nice.
I see the problem is the fantasy ones, because a lot of them do have like magical elements. Those would be hard, but
That's
maybe the book I just finished, it's actually, I tried to write, like I said, a fiction book with no cursing, just for kids. It's called Girl on the Bus. It's coming out later this year, and it's a twist on The Prince and the Pauper. And it's like a modern day rich girl, poor girl kind of deal. And I feel like people could definitely act that one out.
Oh,
It'd be a little cheesy, but you know, why not?
Hey, if it's something that you're into, I mean,
I know that I've been
it's fun when people have
on our live story over here with my supernatural detective. So now that you got me thinking, I was like, wait a minute, we could do a trailer.
Oh, definitely. I've seen a couple scenes from that. I think it's cool.
I challenge you to do a trailer before the end of the summer.
Oh shoot!
Oh, that'd be a simple thing. But okay,
got the challenge on you.
How about this? So to make sure that because it's a little more difficult. We're almost at halfway point to the summer. Before the end of the year.
All right.
Because it's already the second week of July, so that only gives me like 6 weeks, and it ain't gonna happen in 6 weeks.
I thought I was giving you enough time. I mean, how long? No. The trailer's like 90 seconds?
Not for a trailer. And it's funny you say that 90 seconds of filming is actually way more time than you think. And I can tell you that as a cinematographer, 90 seconds of filming is it's about a week or two of getting some actors together and doing some stuff.
Really?
Yeah, because you want to have enough film or enough scenes so you can make those 90 seconds.
That's true. I know nothing about that. I shouldn't bust on you.
No, don't worry. Don't take it as the bust. I'm like, hey, that's actually a pretty good idea. And now you got my brain thinking.
I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, because we're gonna start going back to the live story and see where it goes. Because I told you before I was doing this whole like when COVID first started, like ages and ages ago. I was like, what the heck am I gonna do with my time? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna write a story with the audience, and then that's where all that comes from. And we are like 3 scenes in, I think, and I know we're supposed to restart it again to see if we can do it again on Saturdays at 5 o'clock. So we'll see what happens. Right now, I love what we have. I just want to see where it goes.
Do you have it like typed up somewheres?
Oh, yeah.
It's still there.
Well, I know that's on the board though.
Oh no. That's the one, so I don't forget.
Okay.
All the stuff put together is here, and then I've read the 3 snippets I've done on a couple of the live shows. I should probably put it together. So the whole thing is to work it so that we have the story a little bit more together. Right now, there's a lot of great bits and pieces. It was interesting to see how the audience threw things at us, to see, because at first I was like, a waitress, a PI, a detective, a villain, a father of a child, a pancakes vengeance, a diner. The
pancake vengeance,
the PI, like that. Get into the underground bar. The waitress is a single mother with a secret life. She has a child. And she is the barmaid in the underground bar and a computer programmer. I forgot about that.
I would add a siren into it.
You like add a siren into it? A siren? What kind of siren?
The kind that lures men to their death, and that's why the PI is.
Well, that's good.
Oh yeah, we could
do because the underground club or bar is a supernatural underground bar that actually the diner in the morning during the day the diner is the club, but you can't see it. You go into the diner, you ask for a specific pancake, and that transports you to the underground club.
It's kind of like in Morristown, they have this bar. It's called the Laundromat, and it looks like a laundromat. And then when you open the door, there's a bar underground, kind of.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, it's the whole concept of going for that old speakeasy.
I love those. Those are like my favorite. I'm kind of like obsessed a little bit with like the 1920s. I like anything mob related. I'm like, I know it was like a dark period in time, but like, I don't know. I'm just drawn to it.
It's romanticism around, you know, violence and the chaotic and the excitement of the 20s. I mean, that's where all the good. That's where all superhero stuff comes from. You know, the gangsters.
Well, you also know that, you know, that's also the time period where good and evil were very defined.
Yeah,
this is good and this is evil. You know, now it's like
it's a lot of gray.
Yeah, and it kind of bothers me. You know, I actually was bringing this up in one of I forgot which show I was doing. And I feel like the anti-hero has become the regular hero. It's not the hero that we used to, you know, that we aspired to be. It's this anti-hero that's become the hero now. And people want the anti-hero. They don't want the goody two-shoe hero.
Yeah. I think you and Phil.
Okay.
Oh no, I think you and Phil, I've heard you guys talking.
Oh, I was probably Phil, yeah, you're right.
I was just gonna say Superman. That's why they have a hard time writing him nowadays. Like whenever they do, it's like, oh, this is not Superman, because they're trying to make him something he's not.
Exactly.
Yeah. He
Captain
is a Boy
America.
Scout. Let him be a Boy Scout. You know.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And it's so funny because usually what some people say, you know, it kind of bothers me is like it's because good guys are hard to write for. You know, they're so plain or whatever it is they want to say. And again, I consider it lazy writing to go with the anti-hero because that's easy. Anti-hero is really easy. Writing a good guy hero is very difficult.
I mean, I don't know. For me, growing up, superheroes were my role models. You know, like my home situation wasn't the best, but I watched Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, like all those people I looked up to. And then I started reading Greek mythology, and you kind of have the defined good and bad. And a lot of the old books I began reading, and now with my doctorate programs, one of the angles I'm studying is ethics. So I'm fully immersed in the good and the bad and the gray area. And I love writing about the underdog who kind of rises to the challenge and saves the day. It's a common thing I do over and over again. But I think we need more of that.
Yeah.
We always dismiss it, say, oh, we can't do this. This is just how things are. No, we can rise up and be better.
And then they always tell us, nobody wants to read that. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to hear that. You know, and I'm like, what do you mean nobody wants to? There's an audience out there for it. You know, I understand that you have these people who are following the anti-heroes, but there's people who want heroes. You know, it's just that you guys don't want to cater to them. You want to cater to that money crop, which is, you know, the anti-hero.
And to be fair, I loved me some anti-heroes, but yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Captain America being Captain America. I mean, you don't have to have Superman snapping someone's neck. I mean,
exactly.
His struggle was being a god and dealing with that. You know, that's a whole different thing.
It's such as a writer, it's an amazing thing to have this character, and that's why I feel like people like don't give it enough credit. It's so complicated, so rich to be able to have this character who is trying not to fall to his darkness, who is trying to be the good guy, who is trying to, you know, it doesn't mean that they're totally good. It just means that they're going to go in that direction instead of going in the darker direction, you know, and they have that internal struggle to be that good guy. And
I think another element is we want to teach children about good and bad. You know, if we're just showing them the anti-hero because, you know, it's cool and it makes money and it's funny, we're not instilling good morals in kids, and they're growing up and they're like, well, let's just burn it all down. And you don't want that. You want to say, this is worth fighting for. This is injustice. And there's ways to do it. If there's something wrong, you don't, throw something at it. You say, okay, I'm going to run for government. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to make it better. Because the goal should always be to improve it for the next generation.
Mm-hmm. I completely understand. And that's why when I started writing Hugbert, for my superhero teddy bear, it was because I felt there was this gap, this need for a hero in kids, and what's more of a kid hero than a teddy bear? It's something that we carry with us. Sometimes we even carry it with us into our adult life, because, it was such comfort. It was such a security blanket. It was an amazing thing. And if I know that I talk to friends a lot, and they had all these stories with their teddy bears or their imaginary friends, and they helped form who we are, and I feel like we need to get back to that. We need to get back to that. You can be a good guy. You don't have to be the anti-hero. That'd
be a good comic too.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been working on it. Of course, Shadow Rabbit did without the cute little hat here.
The hat's my favorite part, though.
Yeah.
Shadow Rabbit did my nice little Hugbert mock-up of the superhero teddy bear that I'm working on. And I'm actually hoping that by December I can get the Kickstarter up and running, depending on how the artist is finishing the work.
I think that would be a good first, comic to come out, just because it's such a powerful message.
There is hope, and that's what I want to give. I want to give hope, and there's so much darkness. There needs to be hope.
I think that's the majority of my books. Even if it ends on a bad note, the message is hope throughout. She might have done this at the end for hope to survive. Mm-hmm. That's what my Greek mythology story is about. The main character's name is actually Hope. So
can't get any more hope than that.
I know. And but no, it's about the story of like Pandora's box coming out, and when all the evil came out, so did hope. And as long as she's alive, there's hope in the world. And she ends up in limbo, so she's not dead or alive, so there's like a loophole. It's kind of driving her mad, but at the same time, she needs to exist to keep mankind alive. So she has to figure out kind of how to navigate things.
Sounds good. This is the one that I remember you telling Kadma about.
Yeah, that one's a couple of years old, but it's still.
That's why, because I think we ran into you in one of the earlier cons. And that's what I think that's when you was telling Kadma, this is what it's about. And I was like, and that one is always stuck in my head.
Yeah, I think we met at was it Showboat that we met at in Atlantic City? I think it was some con there with Garden State Comic Fest.
It was Garden State Comic Fest. I'm trying to remember if that was the first time or that was the second time.
And that might have been the second time.
I think we did the interview there, though. So
yeah. My memory kind of works.
Don't worry. Same thing.
That makes one of the people here.
Yeah, it's pretty good for 12:30 at night. I was I thought my brain would be like,
Don't worry, this is around the time where everybody starts going, what? But this is around the time where I started going, well, it's time to wrap up the show. And in wrapping up the show,
wait, did we get through an hour already, dude?
Yeah, we're at an hour and 3 minutes. It doesn't feel like it. It was way too much fun. It was a great conversation.
Yeah,
and we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, hopefully everyone else liked it.
Oh yeah, they did. They came in, they came out. They gave us hearts. They talked on the side. So what do you want to leave the audience with? What's your last word?
If you want to write a book, write it. Don't let other people tell you not to do it. Don't listen to them. And if you want to draw. Do whatever that makes you happy, and just keep on doing it. Even if you struggle at first, you'll get better.
That is a great last word.
Thank you.
Shadow?
She said it real good there, man. Don't let detractors bring you down. You're ultimately the only one whose opinion about yourself matters, but yeah, it doesn't mean you should be like crazy narcissistic either. It's we all got to live here. We're all getting off in the same place, so you don't need to make the ride there bad.
Exactly.
I agree with both of you. That is a great place to a great last word, actually. And it goes with what we were just saying about the be the hero. You know, we're all taking the hero's journey. You know, to quote Joseph Campbell. Decide where this hero journey is going to lead you. Are you going to be the villain, or are you going to be the hero? Choose the hero. You know, be the good guy. Does it mean you're going to be a goody two shoes all the time? No, because nobody's like that. You know, even the good guys have times where they fall. But the whole thing is to keep rising to the occasion, to keep going forward, to make things better, make the world better, make the world what you want it to be, instead of going, this world sucks. Because that's easy to do. Take it from a person who suffers from depression and was a goth at one point. Just hope. You know, come on. You know, it's not that hard to have hope. It sounds like it, but it really is not that hard to have hope. It's actually more difficult to not to have hope, because you know, hope always rears its head, even when you don't want it to.
It'd be like a butterfly, you know, just flying by, you know, or it could just be winning $2 on a lotto ticket. It could be just any little thing. Just take joy in it.
Oh man,
you know, it's
winning
so
$2 on a lotto.
Yeah, it's so funny. You know, we don't celebrate those. We like to look at all the bad. We never celebrate the little good moments that we have in life. You know, we don't look at them. We don't see them. We're so concentrated on all the bad that that butterfly flying across, you know, that stopped us for a moment. Those $2 that you won on a lotto, these are amazing things, you know. But I feel people take them for granted. You know, just look at what you have. You have so many blessings. On that note, so if they want to find you, Kristina, where can they go? Where can they buy your books? When's your next book coming out? You know, all the good stuff.
Yes. So my next book out, like I said, that one's more for teens. It's called Girl on the Bus. I'm thinking it's going to be out November. I kind of like to have my books come out just before Thanksgiving so people can buy them on Black Friday. I don't have a set date, but probably like around like November 13th. Okay. And then you can buy them on Amazon, KristinaGarlick.com. My name's on the screen, but I could spell it out, Kristina, Garlick, GARLICK.com. I have books available, ebooks on my website. I have 2 audiobooks out now, and I'll have 2 more out by the end of the year. I have 2 different narrators, just because I wanted to try different things. So once I get them back, I'll have those on my website as well. I prefer people buy directly from me rather than support big business, but, you know, do what's best for you.
That actually makes more sense. And, you know, when you buy it from the creator, it's usually a better feeling. And you sometimes get extra special stuff. It just happens.
I try to keep the price down, you know.
See?
Like the appreciation of the creator.
Exactly.
That too, definitely. You know,
one of my favorite things is to go to a creator at a con because they really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I mean, it might, even if they do charge a little bit more at the event, just because, you know, all the fees, I'd rather buy directly from them. And not to mention, you can get them to sign it sometimes.
Oh, and definitely.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I got this signed by so-and-so, you know, and then you frame it, or, you know, even if you give it to your friends or whatever, it's like, it's special.
Yeah, because it's unique. You know, it's like you can buy your friend a book, but if you buy your friend a signed book, it's a whole different thing.
Exactly.
And most of the creators are so cool. I mean, you know, people are just down to earth, as long as you're not like really weird to them or anything. But even then, they're usually very nice.
I have to admit, even then, they're kind of nice. And I have to, I love the con, I love the conventions, because you actually get to talk to these creators, especially if you're already a fan of the creator. It's just an amazing thing to be able to go and talk, or just speak, and, you know, parlay, and, you know, just get to pick the brain of the person who wrote whatever or created whatever you love.
The only thing I don't like is when you have these big name celebrities that charge so much money, so people spend all their money on these big celebrities, and then they don't really buy from the smaller people. But, you know.
Yeah, I feel you. We've seen it.
Yeah, more power to them, but gotta spread that love around.
Exactly.
So Shadow, where are you? Where are you going? What's going on? Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know who's on third.
Man, things are getting a little crazy. I don't know what's going on with the world, but I'd love to get back out to cons again. I'm taking a little bit of a step back from doing so many podcasts because apparently me walking around the days all morning and having to do things is starting to be noticeable. But as always, I love doing this. I love art. I love the community. Spine Ticks, Pressable Defects, Sparks and Caroline, whose channel name just got changed to You Promised Me Comics, Travel and Root Beer, Boston Comics, Pressable Defects, all of them, and of course, Bit and Apple Family.
Of course. And I know that you did the event at the industry recently. Are you planning another one soon?
So that was kind of a spur of the that's a copy 801. that was I would love to, industry is there, and I would love to get you and anyone else on the East Coast that wants to drive to Long Island and hang out talking geek stuff and drinking whatever.
You already had me with talk, drink, geek.
There's food. We can play music. We can have live music in there. We're working on getting the the live performance certificate, whatever payoff thing that the state needs, and then we can have bands in there. So it should be a lot of fun.
The more you talk about the industry, the more I'm like, I got to get there. All right,
we'll get there one day, brother.
It'll happen.
It'll happen.
Guys, get out there. Enjoy the conventions. I think next week is CradleCon.
That's right, CradleCon. Get out.
You have CradleCon and you have Big Apple Con.
Big Apple.
And I think I'm forgetting another con, and they're all on the same weekend.
TropicCon was last weekend?
No, TropicCon, it was last week or something like that, but
it's like every other week.
Yeah. So they will have another TropicCon.
Never even heard of that.
July.
TerrificCon's coming up in a few weeks.
TerrificCon is coming out in Connecticut. Yep. I'm looking at it going, maybe I should go see this TerrificCon because I've yet to get there.
You and me will talk. We'll figure out.
And I know you're heading to AwesomeCon because you're awesome.
I'm signed up for it. We'll see if I get spooked out, but I would really love to get out to a show, but gotta take care of the kids and everything first.
All right, people. I am gonna try to make it this weekend to CradleCon on Sunday. I am gonna try to make it to TropicCon on the 25th. I think that's the date it's on. No, the 24th. It's a Saturday.
Got a lot of our friends at those events.
Yeah, we have a lot of friends at those events. Yeah. It'll be good to see them again.
And they're awesome artists and people and just everything. So
support the conventions. They're really important to the creators, and it's a good way to support your local creator. All these guys who are working on all these amazing comics, all these amazing art pieces, all these amazing things. And if you can't support monetarily, just spread the word. You'd be amazed at how much spreading the word does. All right, with that, we shall go and say, now it's time to see how long it takes for it to end when I press the button, and it's ending, and I'm trying to